them and all they doing is stabbing and doing all this and doing, where you think you're going to just start talking peace, this, that, and the third, and they just automatically going to listen to you? There's got to be something that's backing that up. Now, you done been somewhere else and they already know that you done put in work with like 50s and he's retarded. So now, when I say something, you're going to listen because they have the slave mentality. They ain't going to just respect you just for what your intellect is. They going to respect you for how much pain they think that you can inflict upon them. So I let them know I'm not a savage in the pursuit of happiness, but if you make me a savage, I'm a supreme savage. I'm an intelligent savage. So the way I'm going to come at you, you ain't never going to see it until it happens. In every given situation, if that was what it took, then that's what it took. So, you know, a lot of times we get soft on certain things and we all know. You know, anything that you bring in, my organization, all that, I look at them dudes now, like, y'all dudes ain't like how we was. Because the further that they get away from the original, the more it becomes grafted and mutated. And that happens with everything, with everybody. Time is a metamorphosis, gonna bring about a change. You can do the things that you did back then, but you got to do them in a different way. That's what we're dealing with now, with being able to be. If you didn't come to a parliament back then, you just didn't come. But now you ain't got to come, and they can still go look on YouTube, see how many of us that was here, see who spoke, whatever it may be. So the whole dynamics, me and Rasheen, Virtue was talking about that. We live in the greatest time period in the history of time. And the reason why I say that, because the majority of us, we know, growing up in the 60s, or some of y'all from the 50s, or whatever, that it was a what? Your mother had a phone in the house. She had a black phone, the big black phone, or she had the big white phone. Then they went from the phone to the touch tone phone with a long wire. Then you went to the wireless phone. But what can our phone do now? Everything. It's a PC. A personal computer. Like I said in the guard when I first went to college in 1980, and by the time I got to taking up on computer science, when you walked in the room, you had these big ass machines. Read, RAM, all this, you had the programming. Nowadays you ain't got to do none of that. You can hook your phone up to the TV, to the car, to everything. You know, the television. What? If your parents were fortunate enough, or your grandparents, to have a big color TV, it was a Zenith, or whatever, they might took 3 of us to lift that TV. And the TV was, you know, outside the tube. Everything else is heavy because of what it's put in. Now you got a 60, 70-inch screen that's feather light. You could take it and put it up on the wall. You can do anything you want. And then let's move on to the cars. If your people in the 60s going into the 70s, what, a deuce and a quarter, electric, 225? They was lucky if you had electric, you know, to roll the windows down and all that. Now the cars park itself, talk to you, they do everything right. Nobody else experienced that. Imagine the people that was just around to go from the horse and the buggy to the T4 or whatever. Or individuals that went from, You know, like our parents in the South, when they was curing the meat, they had the smoke houses and different things like that. Or before the time of the actual refrigerator, where people had to dig holes and do different things to cure and keep their meat somewhat, you know, preserved. That's why we say time and bring about a change. If we don't change with the time, then we become stagnated, and therefore we can't move forward because those same philosophies and ideologies no longer apply. Just like now, it really doesn't matter how many people we got here because we got that. And once he put that up there, you're going to have thousands, 100,000, or whatever that's exposed to that. Pigs. Yeah, that's exposed to that. I'm getting ready, you know, because he just put it up there and we were just talking naturally, and then once I seen it was there, I said, well, we're going to go off into the bill because once again, you know, we not going, this ain't about numbers, because as long as we doing what we supposed to do when we get up here, once again, and we get out to the people who's watching, that's another thing. You know, because it ain't like they ain't been told over and over and over, and that's what I just got to breaking down with those cats. Then it was just on there with some brothers a year ago. And one of the brothers, Malik, he had did 25 years in jail. So he was talking to them the way that you're supposed to talk to them. He said, yo, I ain't scared of y'all. He said, but I'm going to tell you that if y'all squander this opportunity away and you end up sitting in a jail cell, you're not going to understand that. Why? Because once again, their mindset was like the mindset of demons instead of the mindset of gods. Like, let's be real. You know, I like jewelry, I like being fly and all that, but on some real, if I could afford to walk into the store and give them $250,000 for a diamond necklace or whatever, but you telling me that I couldn't take that $250,000 and came in the hood, got 2 F-150 trucks. I might could have bought like 3 or 4 of them. Right? John Deere mow lawns, I would say, because I'm in the South. So that's why I would apply it to a landscaping business right off the rip. But John Deere lawnmowers ain't no more than like $2,500. If you spend like $3,000, you know, you're state of the art. So if I bought 4 or 5 of those, the buggy to hook up to it, you know, weed blowers, everything that make up a landscaping business. That's residual income. Now I can take, you know, 10 or 15 young dudes and make them a part of my business, and to the point of we gonna do this on commission. I'm not even gonna pay y'all. You know, we gonna get a base salary, but we gonna do it on commission. The more work that you do, the more that you will receive. Praise. So now they're getting the mentality of what? Doing for themselves. As opposed to them placing our youth in a box of where you going to become educated, but what are you becoming educated for? If you becoming educated and all you can use your education is to work from somebody else, then what did you become educated True education is supposed to teach you how to what? Provide for yourself. Once again, we go back to the knowledge degree in the student enrollment. If I'm the maker and the owner of my own reality, then that applies to everything that I do in life. But instead, we teach our children to get educated so that they can come out and they can work for somebody else. And that's not what it's all about. When I first got to college, again, one of my professors in my history class, World Civilization, Dr. Moore, first thing he said to everybody, and that's why I say too, that our children should go to HBCU colleges and universities. Because the professors and everything that's there is coming from the same backgrounds and reality that you're coming from. So he presented the question about what does a college degree offer you? What does it entitle you to? Most individuals are going to say, oh, I'm going to be able to get a better job. I'm going to be able to do this. It's going to make my income higher. All of those so-called above answers. But he said one thing. He said a college degree only means that you have the ability to think. He said the majority of y'all that's in here, whatever you get your degrees in, not unless they, sciences, mathematics, applications, or those type of levels, then you're going to end up working in a whole nother field. But because you have the ability to think, it allows you to be able to go into any field. Because you have the basics, of arithmetic, history, science, or whatever, reading and writing comprehension, which is what they do to us when we coming up from elementary school on. Because if you don't pass those basic skills and everything else, then so-called you're not supposed to get passed on. Even though we know that when Bush stepped into office, and once again, most black people want to see the easy way out. So when he said, oh, no kid left back, let's just pass them all on, what did that do? Passed on a whole bunch of dummies. Once again, individuals that don't want to work for nothing, don't want to have no discipline for nothing. Why nowadays? Because we no longer on the corner where every time they come out, what's the day of mathematics? We're not youth anymore, or any of that that's going on. But at the end of the day, they just, it's no effort. So it's hard, and most of them come around, but if they came around like we did, where it was, it was impossible. If you said you knew something, you was cross-examined all the time. From the time we get on the law train all the way out in East New York, all the way down, even if you know your lesson, you still in there going over your joint because you saying, yo, is this going to be the day somebody going to ask me, do I know what I know? And the percentage of you being asked more than the percentage of you not being asked was far greater. But that ain't what? Our children don't even have common sense no more. More or less supreme science or whatever. And even in the drug worlds and everything that's going on out here, most of this stuff is synthetic. And this is why now the fentanyl is out here killing everybody. Because that's not, even though, the substance abuse came about, cocaine, heroin, and all that, those still is natural plants. They come from the earth. The poppy seed, the cocoa plant, marijuana plant, it's just what people decided to do with it that made it what it was. We know back in the days, Coca-Cola, you know, they could drop an aspirin in it and it'll get you high. So that's why Coca-Cola had to take that, you know, form of cocaine that they was using and Coca-Cola out. So that's what I'm saying. This is important, and I'm gonna end it with that. This rally, I guess, coming up in Mecca, that we will go probably more into detail, you know. And like I said before, somebody need to open the door for that the first person that I heard it from was Father Shalom. And that was the $20 commitment. So we will be, or I guess the brothers, because I'm supposed to come back with them, but I've been up here so long, you know, I don't know. But they should make the presentation of where we at with that. And that's going to take 2,000 guards or earths. Like I said, you know, if it's 1,500 guards and it's 500 sisters, you know, we'll get it done. But at $20 a piece with 2,000 people, that's $40,000 that's raised. And the reason why that is, and I know that what the brothers got going on in Mecca, which is very good, and I'm more on the track of them dealing with getting that pavement done in, you know, than anything else. But as far as the significance of the foundation of the school being fixed once again is because that is a criteria. For one, there's no building or anywhere that you could go into for occupancy without it having to be safe first. Ocean. You know what I'm saying? We have the building. Our responsibility is to upkeep the building. When I first started dealing with this years ago about the historical site, just like we got the sign and everything else, that what was brought up to me, that was the main thing before that we can move forward in this position, is that a brother, a niece, had worked down at the Department of Building. She said, as a nation, we qualify because how long that we have been here. But one thing about when you own things or supposed to own things, or that is in the care of you, that you are responsible for upkeeping it. Okay, so before we can move forward with the historical site, she said that you would have to bring the building up to its original code. The building been there since 1901. That's 121 years. The foundation of the building is solid. The things that we are doing is things that 5 years from now, they may have to be addressed. Because at any given point, if anything falls down or children come in there, fall through the floor, or any of those things, it's a situation. Because if it falls under the status of not being occupied, then it can fall under the status of being condemned. So that's been our job to do. Whether the 99-year lease exists, any of that, it don't matter. So, even though the brothers did what they did, this is also the climate and the best time for us to be dealing with the administration of New York City. Because Eric Adams is in office. So if there's ever a time that we can make what is been put in motion happen, now is the time. Only thing I was saying to the brothers, which we all in consensus with each other now, is that y'all made the move before. Because if we already got the foundation done, and now you walking in there and you showing them, y'all, we just spent $40,000 to bring it up to its original. Exactly. Because like I explained to brothers and sisters, if we had to bring codes change as years go on. So if we had to bring it up to today's code, what does that mean? All these handicap ramps, different windows or different heating and air, all those things would apply, right? But because we're under what they call the grandfather clause, all we have to bring it up to is this original clause, right? The foundation itself is super strong. They ain't going nowhere. It's super strong. It's better than a whole bunch of those buildings that's being built now. And it showed you that it stands the test of time. 121 years, 2 fires, and 2 hurricanes. So it's physically strong. Okay? But once again, what the nation has to understand, in order for us to move forward, that's our obligation. So now we're able to step to the city with that already being done. We already showing improvement. Yeah, we've been here 50-something odd years, and we have kept it up to par. So now they're going to be more in tune to engage with us, because once again, what I've also made known to the body is that when you get that, you put in motion the one thing that can either bring about greatness or the one thing that could destroy us. And the reason why I state that is because right now, gods and earths, anything less than us getting the deed on that property is BS. It's BS.
Yes, sir.
Because right now, understand what took place. That was 5 different lots there. It's no longer 5 lots. It's 1 lot. Lot 29, which is 12,500 and some odd square feet. And like the brother said, see, we got to understand all this with buildings and everything. We got airspace.